Alright, so today we're going to be going back over for you guys who did not come in on Monday. Your leave out day is today. I went over when you have a water line in the ground that you have to imagine from here and over is buried in the ground, right? So you're not going to have a lot of wiggle room, a lot of movement, a lot of play in the pipe. But let's say you have a leak right here. We're going to go over how you properly can get a repair made on this. So the first thing, obviously, is you're going to cut the pipe, so you can address where the leak is, that you don't have a lot of play. So what are some solutions that y'all can think of to be able to fix this?
Cut that section out, 90 up, 90 over, 90 down.
Okay, and what is that called?
Brain fart. I knew what it was called before I described it. I should just said what it's called.
It's called a swing joint.
Yes.
Which is the correct way to do it. Now there is a way where technically you could get like a slip coupling. I would always recommend, if you try a slip coupling, what you want to do is you'll find the center of your coupling, put it onto the pipe, and you're going to mark on your pipe where the outside of the coupling would sit, so that when it slides over, you can see everything once you put your primer and glue, and when you push it back over, you know your stopping point so that it's perfectly in the middle for you, and that both sides of the pipe can adhere properly. But when you do that, you run a risk of this backside piece, whichever side you put the slip coupling on to just sit out of the way. You run with the issue of when you slide it back over, you're pushing a lot of that glue over, and it's not going to have a good amount to really adhere to the inside of your coupling and to the pipe. So the best way to then correct that problem is, like you said, we would look at doing a swing joint, in which case you would cut back further, on the pipe so that you have room to work. So we're going to pretend we cut back on it. And what you'll do is you'll glue on a 90 here, glue on a 90 here, and then essentially bring it up where you have a piece like this. And then you can just glue your piece down onto it. And that's how you make what they call a swing joint. And that's what you do when you don't have any flexibility and movement in the pipe on that side, and you can get your repair in and ensure that all of your pipe is properly into all of the hubs of your fittings, so that it creates a good strong bond for you. Now, depending on how deep you are in the ground, you can have your swing joint up like this, but you do want to make sure you still sit below the frost level with this part, so you can turn it to the side if you need to, on those very shallow irrigation lines. I don't really ever recommend doing it this way. If you do it this way, it just makes it harder in the future to visually see the bottom side here. So if anything happens, you spring a leak or anything like that, that just means you have to dig even further down on that side. So always do it to the side, or do it turned up like this. Right? On larger lines, like 2-inch or anything like that, you would also want to look at putting in like a thrust block. So you'll put one here in the middle, and then you'll put them here on the outside and on the top side here, or on the side, so that whichever way your flow is, you have a thrust block protecting it on all sides. Does that make sense?
Yes,
Do you
sir.
have any questions?
No, sir.
Quick, easy, simple, make your job a lot easier instead of being in the ground, struggling, flexing, trying to flex the pipe, or even saying, you know, I've gotta dig so much more to get some flexibility in the pipe. You know, you're saving your back, saving your physical effort on that side, and making your brain do all the work. Sound good? Alright, that's all I got.